didn't always have as much integrity when I started as what I do now. And the reason that I was saying that stuff is because I was taught and educated that that was okay. So I know that there are people out there that are doing it just because of what they've seen on the internet, or maybe some from free courses or even paid courses in some circumstances. Welcome back to Behind the Biz, and today I want to talk a little bit about integrity. So, what is integrity? For me, integrity in business is being truthful, being honest in everything that you do, in all the dealings that you have, whether that be with landlords, with letting agents, with estate agents, anyone that you come across. Personally, for me in my business, I believe that you have to act with as much integrity as possible. Now, this is something that I've had to learn along the road. And what I mean by that is I didn't always have as much integrity when I started as what I do now. And I'll explain why. Through certain training courses I did right at the start of my property career, we were basically told that white lies were okay, and that to say anything that wasn't quite true was okay as long as it was in the pursuit of serving someone well. So whether that be saying that I had a relocation business or I had business clientele, and therefore can I rent your property off you to do rent to rent, and I'll only fill the gaps with Airbnb guests and stuff like that. That's what I used to say, and that simply wasn't true. And the reason that I was saying that stuff is because I was taught and educated that that was okay. The real issues with it came was when people started questioning me more and more about things that weren't true, like my relocation business, all the business clientele that I had coming for something that wasn't for an event or something like that. And it would make me feel very awkward. It would make it very difficult to negotiate. And ultimately, the landlords, the agents, they can just smell it as desperation. And I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to get the next deal or whatever it was, and it really put a lot of stress on me, and it wasn't good. I was essentially I wasn't telling the truth to people. So what I had to do was I had to change what I'd been taught and reword things in the sort of inquiries that I was making in a way that was true. And that started with cutting out all of the bullshit and keeping it really simple and keeping it honest. And I've found that that has been a much better policy for all of the work that I've been doing going forward. Now, I must point out that this was only for the first sort of few months in my property career. It's not something that I've done for a very long time, but I just wanted to make the point for people who are just getting started and maybe doing that. I was speaking to someone the other day and they wanted some help, and they were saying that they had a relocation business on OpenRent, and it just wasn't true. So I know that there are people out there that are doing it just because of what they've seen on the internet, or maybe some from free courses or even paid courses in some circumstances. It's so important that you get this right from the start, and I hope that people who are just getting started out can learn from the mistakes that I did. It makes it a lot easier going forward. You feel a lot more comfortable when you're negotiating. There's no sort of thought of whether, or what if the landlord looks me up and finds out that this X, Y, and Z isn't true about me. But going forward, as I begin to sort of start giving more people advice and start coaching people, I'm going to go down the route of complete honesty and integrity because it makes it a lot easier. I find that certainly with rent to rent, it's not a case of convincing people. People are either interested or they're not interested. So if you put openly and honestly what you're about and what your business does, then you don't have to worry about getting a phone call from an unrecognized number and starting having to lie to people about your relocation business that just doesn't exist. So if you are getting started in property, you are getting started in sourcing, rent to service accommodation, rent to HMO, make sure you act with complete integrity and honesty, because in doing so, it's made it so much easier for me to send out inquiries, talk to landlords, and secure deals ultimately. I hope that's been helpful. If it has, please make sure you like, share, and follow.